And I think as you read the document the first time, human dignity and human rights sort of flow together, and you really miss, in my view, the power of the concept of human dignity. And that's something that I think is extraordinarily important and applicable today. By human dignity, we mean the respect, and John the 23rd meant the respect of the personhood, the full personhood of the individual, and the responsibility for civil authorities to allow that personhood to thrive, to flourish, to succeed. Now, in using the term human dignity, there is a sense in which John the 23rd swept aside so many of the debates that were surrounding the human rights community at the time. Because think of it. In 1948, the Universal Declaration of Human Rights was promulgated, and I've heard the same story about Jacques Maritain, essentially saying we couldn't agree on the bases of these things, so let's just promulgate some rights. If you look at the debates that took place in the United Nations General Assembly and in the Human Rights Commission, which of course Eleanor Roosevelt chaired, you see this huge disparity between economic and social rights, between political and civil rights, with the Soviet Union at its time and the allies, their allies saying economic and social rights are more important than civil and political rights, and of course the West saying no, 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 no. Well, there's a sense in which the concept of human dignity sets aside that sterile debate and says this: if we're going to affirm the personhood of every individual, they need certain fundamental civil and political rights, as we would call them, but they also need some basic economic and social rights. We get into this sterile debate, and the international community and the United Nations, unfortunately, has reiterated that debate, and it prevents us from seeing what we need to do to affirm the personhood of the individual. That's why I think today the concept of human dignity can play an important role in the international political arena, with states, representatives of states, international officials, starting with the concept of human dignity and trying to move beyond these sterile debates and the human rights arguments that have been taking place. There's also another sense in which human dignity is more powerful than human rights, and that is that many people, many scholars and others would say that we're in a post-rights discourse period. Now, what do they mean by that? Well, there are different phases as human rights have developed, and at some point, whether it's women's rights or rights of minority groups or gay rights, each time there's a claim that we need to recognize the equality of these various groups, and that's correct. But at the end of the day, people actually are different. Women are different from men. I cannot bear children. Women can bear children. That means human dignity, while according a basic level of equality, also means according the respect due to difference. The respect due to difference. And I think this transcends the whole traditional debate on human rights from a legal perspective. So that's one huge contribution I see in the encyclical.